Preliminary, and it is of course out of the hands of the city of Hoover at this point. I think everybody is aware of that. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is in complete control of the investigation at this point. We all want answers. Everybody in this community wants the entire truth about what took place on November 22nd. We don't have that truth yet, and that truth will come at the conclusion of the Aaliyah investigation. And any decision that comes as an output of those events will take place at the conclusion of that investigation, when it's been properly conducted and the findings are presented to the right authorities to make their decisions.
Do you think it was the right call to have a prior statement go out letting the public know that they could expect possibly to hear something about the investigation today, and then to take that back?
There was a desire to try to encourage Aaliyah to release what they could release. And they very abruptly told us that there would be no release and that we were to make no release. So the statement that we're thinking about last week said that if Aaliyah did not release by today, that Hoover would make our own decision. That is in the text of the news release, and that is archived. Those were Mr. Councilman Murphy's words. They didn't make a release, and we did make a decision. And unfortunately, our decision had to be that we had to comply with their request. We released the letter from Secretary Taylor. It's very clear that we don't have the latitude to release anything. We don't have all the evidence. Very, very soon after the incident, it was turned over to Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. They collected evidence directly at the scene. They then turned all that evidence over to Aaliyah the next morning. So Hoover has never been in possession of all the evidence, and we can't release what we have.
What do you say about when people are requesting the officer's name? When they're saying, we know that you guys can't release all the information, but some information just to kind of, what would you say, I guess, in response to that?
We will not identify the officer involved in this event for that individual's safety. I think it's clear the emotions are high in this community. This is also an employee issue. So like many other employee issues, we don't release identifying information about employees who are involved in certain situations.
Some of these protesters clearly are very upset, and they have made claims to come to other Hoover businesses, come to city officials' homes, police officers' homes, come to Hoover schools. What do you say to that? Many people are very concerned about this. People
are clearly concerned. This is not something we've seen often in our community. We understand First Amendment protections in Hoover. We understand that everyone is deserving of protection. That's residents, businesses, visitors to our community. We will endeavor to protect everyone's First Amendment rights, but we will also protect everyone's physical safety.
Will the updates be the same? I know you guys said that you guys are going to release updates every Monday. So I guess what's to expect, next Monday if there's not any information that you guys can release to the public?
We can't release anything related to Aaliyah's investigation. If there is other information that becomes available not related to the investigation, we will gladly put those in our weekly updates or interval updates if it's something that doesn't need to wait until Monday.
What do you say to criticism that the city mishandled this from the beginning?
I think every action that every involved party has taken is now under scrutiny. We have our own internal investigation. Clearly there's an external investigation. So all those things are being scrutinized right now. It's entirely too early to come. We don't have findings on that right now. It's entirely too early to speculate. But we are in the process of reviewing all of our own actions, all of our policies and procedures, and the day will come that we'll be able to speak on that with authority.
One more question.
Who gets last?
Do we really need Aaliyah to explain to us why a gun was still in the mall the next day, why y'all called the wrong person the gunman? Do we need Aaliyah to do that, or is that something y'all can start doing yourselves and do it soon?
But all of those communications, all the police communications from that night are part of the investigation, and the presence of the firearm that was discovered the next day is still part of their investigation. We've specifically discussed those aspects with Aaliyah, and we were asked not to release them.
So you have to wait for Aaliyah to...
Any member of the media have last question.
What do you want to say to the family of E.J. Bradford? I know that Hoover officials didn't attend. You talked about why that wasn't going to take place last week out of respect of the family. What would you like to say to them?
Right. There was a very robust conversation here about whether or not to ask permission for a delegation to attend the services. The decision was made under counsel from numerous people that that would not be appropriate, and that even asking could be perceived as a distraction to their very solemn proceedings. So we decided not to try to pursue having a delegation there. That day wasn't about Hoover. That day was about the Bradford family. And so it was very important that we stay away and not be a distraction on the day of his funeral.
Hoover made it about
That's
the
our
Bradford
last
family.
question. That's our